Damari and Bobby, thank you for joining us. Do we have any questions for our student athletes here out the gate? Right here.
Bruce, Sports Illustrated, Purdue. Everybody who plays basketball grows up as kids thinking and dreaming about playing in the NCAA tournament. Do you guys, either of you, have stories from your youth of thinking about this moment and what it's like to finally be here?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, playing basketball all my life, I've been watching March Madness. That's the best time of the year for me. So to be able to participate in it is a blessing for sure.
Bobby?
I would say the same thing. This, like DeMar said, every kid grows up. This is your dream, to be on this stage and compete, with the best of the best. So it's a blessing to be here.
Thank you. Anything else out here? Right here, Joe? Right here, right in the jacket here.
Yeah, Kyle Hightower from the Associated Press. How you doing, guys?
Good.
How you doing?
It was just, piggybacking on that. What's it mean just to get High Point here for the first time? Obviously, it's the first time for for the program to get to D1 to get to NCAA tournament. What's it mean just kind of you guys going to be etching history? For you guys getting here to this point, and whatever you guys do is going to be building on that.
I mean, it's great for the High Point community. Just seeing everybody come together and all accomplish a common goal is great. I mean, just the way our fan base and High Point is just behind us, the whole city, is great, for sure.
This is something that, me, DeMar, on our visits, we talked about since day one in the summer, coming here, we wanted to make history. At High Point, me and DeMar coming from, kind of high major basketball, knowing what it takes at this point in time, and, with our fan base rooting for us every night, like he said, it feels good to be here.
Thanks, gentlemen, right here in front.
Hi, Ralph Russo with The Athletic. Talk about coming to High Point. What was the selling point? Not a lot of history, nice campus, beautiful place, but what was the selling point to get you here beyond maybe just the coach?
What got me here was Coach Huss for sure. I mean, I fell in love with the campus and all that for sure, and the community is great. But Coach Huss, I believed in his plan, and it working so far.
Me being from from Durham, North Carolina, it's an hour away. So obviously I wanted to come back home. I kind of seen what the guys, Keza, Monty, Bodo, Latham, Trey Benham, that were there through the rough times, and when I seen how they flipped the program around, I mean, it was hard to not want to be a part of it, along with obviously the campus and all that. So,
Thanks, guys. Right here in back.
What have you guys thought of Purdue so far, seeing them on film, and what are the biggest challenges that they present for you guys?
Definitely just containing the point guard and stopping the pocket pass to the big are our main focuses. And, yeah, just making them guard us, too, as well.
Yep, and just, being used to the physicality come with Big Ten basketball, knowing we got to, step it up a little bit now. We're at this point in time. But definitely those, those two front guys he was talking about, the 1 to 4 man, they take them as far as they go. So, and then just with the shooters they got around them, we got to guard that three-point line and just make it hard for, for those guys.
Thanks, guys. Right here to the right.
Thank you. Pat Forty from Sports Illustrated. You guys were favorites to win your conference tournament. That carries a little bit of a pressure and a bullseye. Totally different this week. What's it been like, mentality switch from one week to another?
We just keep the same preparation no matter who we're playing. It's the same approach every game. So we practice hard. We've been practicing hard all year. So, yeah, we just keep that approach.
Good there. Right here in front.
Just to follow up on the coming to High Point, when you've been at some bigger programs, do you get a big program feel at High Point? Do you get a smaller program feel? In other words, like, I think sometimes you see transfers and they're like, wow, I'm used to playing these huge arenas and these great facilities, but like, what does High Point have that's maybe comparable or different?
Oh, yeah, High Point translates for sure. I mean, the arena is beautiful. The fans show up every night, so it translates for sure. It's similar.
Anything else to that? No? Right here.
You guys have played at power conference schools before, so does that help in regards to walking in the door Thursday and playing a Big Ten team like that? I mean, does it take some of the pressure off a little bit, knowing that you've played big name schools before in your careers?
Yeah, definitely. Just having past experience with the physicality and stuff helps a lot for sure.
And I think it'll help. We know some of our teammates haven't been, at this level like some of us have. So I think we can talk to them, what to expect when you walk in. You know, obviously, you know, the energy is, you know, unmatched here. So I think, you know, you can calm them down, take some time to think, you know, take it all in, enjoy it, but also know it's, you know, it's a business trip as well.
Thanks, fellas. We'll take one right here in front.
So, Bobby, I'm Alexis from High Point. You were the Big South Tournament MVP, and that's a huge accomplishment. Coming off of that, how is that getting you excited for tomorrow's game?
It definitely, you know, gives me confidence and just knowing my boys, you know, trust me, you know, they, you know, obviously that game we had a talk at halftime, a regroup. So it definitely shows, you know, ups and downs, and we can keep the same mentality and, you know, just keep fighting.
Do you have any other questions? We have a few more minutes, if so. We're all set? You got one? Take one more here. Okay.
Kyle Hightower from the AP again. For people, I mean, obviously a lot of spotlight's going to be on Purdue. You guys the known name coming in. You guys your first time in the tournament for High Point. What kind of basketball team are they going to see on the field? How would you describe High Point basketball and Allen's basketball?
I mean, the same way we've been playing all year: fast, shoots a lot of threes, scores the ball, and defends hard.
I think just, you know, a tough, hard-nosed team. You know, you can't sleep on them. We're deep. We got, you know, 10 to 12 guys you got to scout. So.
Do we have anything else for our student athletes? All right, we won't keep you. Appreciate your time. Good luck tomorrow, fellas. You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have Coach Huss on the dais at 10:35 a.m. I read it earlier, but yeah, we're ready to go. No problem, yeah. We'll be starting here with head coach of High Point, Coach Huss, here in about 3-4 minutes. And just a quick reminder, please no recording of the press conference on cell phone or camera. Thank you very much. Two more minutes. Coach, thanks for joining us. Do you have any initial questions out there for Coach Hudson once he's settled? Right here in the middle.
Hey, Coach, welcome. Tom Bruce, Sports Illustrated, Purdue. You guys were here up earlier, having played at high major schools before and having experience with all that. How much do you think that helps translate walking in to an NCAA tournament event like this and playing a Big Ten team and things like that, just from a mental standpoint of having been there before?
Well, I mean, this season we have not really played any high majors, so you know, this will be a step up in class and size and athleticism, all those things. You know, I think the important thing for our guys to understand is just it's another basketball game. You know, obviously there's more at stake. It's one team goes home at the end of the day. But you know, at the end of the day, we got to stay true to processes, and no matter our opponent, we've got to do what we do and make sure we make things difficult on our opponent.
Thanks, Coach. Right here to the right.
Indianapolis Star. You take us back 2 years and kind of how you started putting this group together, and how does what's going on right now, I guess, fit into the vision that you had at that point?
Ooh, that's tough. You know, we got the job really late because we were in the Elite Eight. I was at Creighton before this, and you know, we started attacking things. I walked in, and the best players in my program all told me they didn't like me very much and they were going to go somewhere else. They did so very shortly. The ones that weren't quite as good decided they were going to stay, and so we had some work to do to reconstruct a roster. We finally got a roster kind of put together that I think fit our vision pretty well of what we wanted to do. And then a season ago, our best two most experienced players were both ruled out for the season before they played a second. So we kind of had to reboot again. But it's been fun. It's been fun to try to throw together a team and a roster. The transfer portal has certainly helped our kind of rapid ascension to the top of our league. We wouldn't be able to do this in old times, but we were able to attack the portal and find a couple of kids in junior college, find a couple of kids in the transfer portal, and then I think our high school kids that have come along have done a nice job as well. So I think we've been really fortunate. The guys have bought into their roles, and this season especially, we've kind of evolved into a team that's really leading themselves, and that part as a coach is gratifying.
Thanks, Coach. Anything else out there? Right here?
Hey, Alan, Pat 40 from Sports Illustrated. There's been a lot of Greg McDermott assistants go on to do well. Is there a common denominator? What does he do maybe to prepare you guys for being head coaches?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Mack, I think it's very basic why a lot of us have found success. He empowers his assistants. If you have the opportunity to work for him, you find out really quickly that if you're not ready, you're gonna be exposed. I was lucky to be able to run a lot of the offensive stuff we did there. You want to talk about a trial by fire. You're working for one of the best offensive minds in the game of basketball, and all of a sudden he's handing you a clipboard or asking you to run a drill, and that's an unbelievable way to grow as a coach. And that certainly wasn't unique to me. He allowed a lot of us, pretty much 3 or 4 assistants every year to kind of run with their particular area. And I think that allowed not only me, but a number of others to go on and find success.
Thanks, Coach. Right here in the middle. Sorry, wait, real quick. Thank you.
Eric Rube with the Providence Journal. Coach, as a quote unquote Cinderella team coming in this tournament, what is the approach coming here? Is it just simply one game at a time? Is it big picture? How do you and your guys approach this?
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird deal for us because we've been done for a week, so we got to sit around and watch all the other people that were fighting for spots suffer. That was kind of enjoyable. But now, once we found out our opponent on Sunday night, I've spent a lot of time in the state of Indiana, familiar with their program, so we were able to pivot and put together a game plan. And at this point, it's just it's not about Cinderella. It doesn't matter. Once the ball goes up, it's about trying to win a basketball game, trying to be solid in all aspects, in all phases of the game, and we'll try to do our best to do those things.
Thanks, Coach. Right here, back.
Coach, I also spend a lot of time in Indiana, and Darren DeVries is being introduced as the head coach at Indiana today, and just was curious if you would mind just sharing your thoughts on Darren and him getting that job.
Yeah, the state of Indiana is going to love Darren. I know it doesn't look like it, but Darren actually coached me. He's somehow kept his hair while I've lost mine. I played against him as a freshman. Then he was our GA at my sophomore and junior year, and then became a full-time assistant my senior year, and we've been close ever since. Darren's just an elite basketball mind. He works relentlessly, and he values skill. Skill that's I don't know if there's a better basketball state in the country than in Indiana. Like, he's going to be able to find plenty of it there. And I think the fans will love his style of play. They played a little slower this year at West Virginia just because he got the job a little late and wasn't able to field probably quite as talented a roster as he would have liked. But you're going to love his style of play. They're going to be gritty. They're going to play together. They're going to run motion, play man-to-man defense. It's going to be a style of play that the fans can get behind and that the state's going to absolutely love.
Thanks, Coach. Go ahead, Pat.
I want to follow up on what you said about watching everybody else suffer for a week there. What's it like in a one-bid league, especially if you're the favorite, maybe the pressure there, and how much does that flip coming to this tournament?
Well, that's been the most interesting thing about this season for us. We've been a favorite in pretty much every game all year. And, people probably don't appreciate how difficult that is, and I would certainly rather be the favorite than the underdog every game, don't get me wrong. But it makes you have a mental edge. And I believe that our guys, we know we're going to get everyone's best shot all season. And so I think that's the one advantage we have as we move into this space. We've been on edge all season. If we don't have our best stuff, we're walking into an environment or we're walking into a team, and it's one of the biggest games or the biggest game on their schedule. And so I think that's helpful for us. But the one bid stuff is, I hadn't been a huge part of that in the past, even really back to my playing days. I've never really been in one bid leagues, and the pressure's real. We were down 15 points in our conference championship game, and I would have been the worst coach in the world, and they would have been the worst team in the world had we not got it done, and we still would have had 28 wins. Pretty good season, but that's the world that we live and coach in, and we accept the challenge, and hopefully it's prepared us for for another pressure-packed situation tomorrow.
Thanks, Coach. Right here in front.
Hey, Coach. Ralph Russo with The Athletic. Building off Nathan's question about how you build your roster, you're getting some guys who are quote-unquote transferring down. What are you looking for in those players in terms of, you're probably doing some projection in terms of production, and also in maybe mindset of guys who can deal with that, if that's maybe the right word?
The transfer downs are the hardest to evaluate. A couple of ours, I think we had some pretty solid, cheat codes on. Kamani Hamilton, he came from Mississippi State. He's a guy that we recruited all along the way at Creighton. So I had seen him. I wasn't the lead recruiter on him. Jalen Courtney Williams was, but I watched him a number of times in club basketball, high school basketball. So when he was in the portal, he had almost no game experience no meaningful game experience at Mississippi State. But I was able to kind of think back to a long evaluation process that was a little bit more traditional in our recruitment of him at Creighton. So that helped with him. Demarion Williams is a guy that had success at our level prior to his going to Texas Tech and kind of falling out of the rotation. Those two guys in particular, I think, I'd love to tell you that I had some equation that everyone else doesn't have, but it was dumb luck. Probably in both those situations that we had something we could lean on. But that's the most difficult thing about this all. It used to be we had years to develop relationships and understand the human beings we're recruiting, understand their families, understand all the different factors that go into making them the people and players they are. Now that's all sped up, and access to information, access to understanding what these kids are about and what makes them tick, that's gold at this point. And having staff that can get to the bottom of it. I mean, let's be honest, people don't always tell you the truth in recruiting. They're trying to help a friend, a player that they coached, whatever the case may be. So getting access to solid information and being able to really identify these kids, especially the transfer downs. It's easy the kids that transfer, and we've got a sample size at the Division I level to evaluate. It's either, okay, they fit stylistically, maybe they can do this thing or that thing a little bit differently or better with us than they were able to in their prior system. Maybe it's just a straight, slide them right from their role there right into ours. But those guys that don't have a large sample size for us to evaluate, that's where the information is critical.
Thanks, Coach. Right here.
Nathan Baird, Indianapolis Star again. To touch back on your time in Indiana, that stint at La Lumiere, how instrumental was that, or how beneficial was that to the job that you then had to execute taking over at High Point?
Yeah, when you're working at boarding school, in a lot of ways, those jobs are more difficult than what I do now because you're really doing the exact same thing. You're bringing in a team, you're recruiting that team, but they don't have they're not grown-ups yet. They're still in high school. In many cases, they're 14, 15, 16 years old, and they're moving away from home. They don't have the support network. They don't drive yet. They're kids. And so you have all the responsibilities that we have now. In addition to that, I had a day job. I worked in the admissions office there. In addition to all that, these kids weren't self-reliant like they are at the collegiate level. So, the beautiful thing about boarding school is you get to learn all these things, fight all these battles, wear all these hats. You get to be the chauffeur and the laundry man and all those things. And I think number one, it humbles you. There's a number of times where you're doing something funny in that environment where you kind of think back to, really, really look inside or outside. You look around and go, how did I end up right here doing laundry at 11:30 in a snowstorm in LaPorte, Indiana? That happens. But you get to make mistakes also at a little bit lower level that aren't scrutinized. And I think as a coach, making mistakes and learning from those mistakes is probably as important, to the growth process as anything. And I certainly made my fair share. And fortunately for me, there were very few people that cared when I made them. So I was able to learn without ending my career.
Thanks, Coach. Any other questions? Got time for probably one or two more out there if possible.
I'm Alexis Taylor from HPU. So the Creighton connection between you and Purdue assistant Paul Lusk as an interesting matchup or layer to the matchup. How does your familiarity with him influence your preparation for the game?
Well, he certainly knows what we're going to do. I mean, we sat in the same meetings for a long time, and Paul's a great friend. His whole family, they're close friends of ours, and he was instrumental in our success. I wouldn't be sitting here without him, because he really, when he arrived at Creighton, we went from being a team that kind of did some jumping jacks and got in the way defensively to becoming the defensive juggernaut that they are now, which is crazy to say. He was such a huge part in that growth process for our program there. But he knows what I'm going to do. I'm certainly familiar with what Purdue's going to do. There's definitely a familiarity there. I don't know that it makes all that big a difference, other than I cheer for him. When we're not playing against him, I won't cheer for him tomorrow.
Thanks, Coach. Take one more in the back here.
Well, we asked you about LaPorte, so I guess we should ask you about Culver too. Can you talk a little bit about your time there and what that meant to you as well?
I mean, same deal. Culver's it's a little bit bigger school, and because of that, there's a lot more infrastructure. So you don't wear quite as many hats as you do at La Lumiere. That's such a small place. But I've got great friends and great memories at both places. We were really fortunate. My family was fortunate to be in the state of Indiana, northern Indiana, for a long time, and we valued our time there. My kids were little kids at both those places, and grew up on campus. And when you start talking about quality of life, working at Culver, at La Lumiere, that's a pretty darn good life. There's a reason why people go to those places and don't leave. It's like stepping back in a time machine. Kids play outside. You got great people and families around, and you're immersed in where you live and work, and it's a phenomenal lifestyle.
Thanks so much, Coach. Good luck tomorrow. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have a bit of a break here. You're all set, Coach. You can get back. Thank you. We'll be joined by our Purdue student athletes here. 11:05. As of right now, scheduled should be junior guard Fletcher Lawyer, junior guard Braden